The Build Show is on the road today. I'm actually in the warehouse district of Fort Worth, Texas. That's downtown right there. And we're going to be giving you a tour of this beautiful 1920s building that my builder friend has remodeled into his office. There he is right there. Brent, good to see you, man.
How are you, buddy?
Good, brother.
Good to see you.
What a beautiful building, Brent.
Yeah, this is a pretty special building. It's a 1921 National Biscuit Company distribution center. So National Biscuit Company became Nabisco, right?
Yeah,
and so in the 20s, it's pretty cool. It's kind of a mission revival kind of looking deal. They had staff architects, so you know Walgreens all look alike, you know.
Ugly.
Yeah. So thank you. Yeah, Nabisco is the same way. They had a company architect, and if you look at old Nabisco warehouses, they have a lot of these same features.
Wow, so just like a Kaufman's or a Montgomery Ward or JCPenney's all look the same no matter where you are in the U.S. Even Nabisco wanted their buildings.
Crest, the drugstores did the same thing. Yeah, Montgomery Ward's. There's a great Montgomery Ward mission style, and this is a little bit of a mission style, but this is the warehouse district, right? We're just south of downtown, and so it was meant for work. But what's cool about that is the quality of construction and materials in this building is awesome, right?
Oh man, I can't wait to see it, Brent. Now, if you guys don't know Brent, he is a famous builder who's been on TV, actually with a TV show, Lone Star Restoration, for a while. We became friends because of YouTube, and he actually built my cousin's house up here in Fort Worth. Yeah. But Brent's got two companies. He's got Hull Homes. He builds new homes that look like old, beautiful, historic homes, but they're actually brand new. And he does restorations of old houses, bringing them back to life. And that's what he did for my cousin up here in Fort Worth. Right. So Brent, it's so cool to see you at your offices. Let's go in, guys. We're gonna give you a full tour, show you how Brent uses this for his office, and show you how it was built.
So it's an awesome building where, you know, you can see we're up on piers. It's a solid masonry all the way around the outside. We're up on the inside. That drive gate, the dock area would be where they bring the trucks in.
And these are original floors, Brad, I'm assuming?
All maple floors throughout the building.
Hard maple.
These walls, those are original bathrooms. These walls are original to the building. It's kind of cool how they built this. I actually found this construction detail in millwork catalogs from the 20s. But basically what they did is they had a two-sided beadboard.
Okay, so this is your beadboard right here.
Beadboard panels, right? 2x4s, and then a quarter round. Very simple.
So they picture frame the 2x4s with a beadboard in the center.
Yeah.
And that's what, 1/2 inch or 3/4 beadboard?
3/4.
3/4
right,
beadboard.
Beaded both sides.
And then they quarter rounded it, and you're done.
You're done. This is basically a cubicle, right? This is how they did cubicles in the 20s, right?
So neat.
It was a pretty quick, pretty easy way to build. But they set the doors, as you can see, kind of right in the 2x4.
Yeah,
There's
so
no
the jam is your 2x4.
Right, exactly.
And then all they do is put a stop on there. And this is one of the original doors, huh?
Yeah.
Is that the original hardware too?
It is.
Golly, it's gorgeous.
I try to keep everything original.
I love it, Brent. That's a theme with you, isn't it, Brent? Keeping it original. This hard maple has lasted 100 years and still looks good.
So, because it was a warehouse in the 20s, there are clues to how they built it. Okay, one is the quality of the glass. As you look up into it, you can see a lot of wave and a lot of movement going on.
Yeah,
that was because they graded glass A, B, and C, and this would have been like a C level glass. They weren't using fine glass. The other thing is, you look at these floors. I mean, there's a piece of maple that's 6 inches long, right?
Yeah.
And so
some short pieces.
Yeah, there's some short pieces, right? And so they were, putting this together kind of as a, these are seconds, right?
Yeah, it's a warehouse.
It's a warehouse.
Factory.
Exactly. But you can see like original fan and where the knob and tube came through. You can still see that in the ceiling. There's some indications that this was kind of an office, and I believe that because of the way you'll see some electrical come up through here. They had desks, right? And then there was a railing, so you would come in and done your orders here. And but this was the original office. Now these books, these are all me, right? This is my addiction that I can't help.
No, it's funny enough. I watched your series on TV, and my kids loved it too.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny to be in this space because I saw you on the big screen in my house,
talking on this,
sitting on your desk, hanging out with your dog Romeo.
Yeah,
it's fun to see you in this space.
Well, so my whole background was that I studied historic preservation in Boston 25 years ago. The very first thing we learned to do is actually take this plane right here. It's a number 5 Stanley bedrock, and get it working again, right? So we
flatten the
bottom, resharpen the knife, got it working, because we were building things the way they used to be built. The whole idea of what our training was is that if you know how they built it 200 years ago, it's really easy to build today. And there's a perspective and a idea of how we build, as far as quality, as far as craftsmanship, as far as integrity, that infuses everything we do.
I love it, Brandon. I've always said that being a remodeling contractor over the years, and even remodeling my first house I owned 20 years, makes me a better builder. And I think that's absolutely true of what you do, Brent, because you see these old houses, how the craftsmen built them, and you're able to then build new homes that look like an old house, but are built to modern standards with insulation, with modern mechanicals that weren't around when those houses were built.
What you were doing is you're being inspired, right? You're looking at the past, and you're looking at how they put things together, and you're going, oh, that's how they did it. Yeah. That's why it's lasted so long, right? And so it's great inspiration.
Beautiful. Now, what's this space here? We just left your office, and we're in a big
so this was the original offices, right? And so all this was in distribution center.
Okay.
So there was there's doors on the outside. Let's see here. Which were the freight doors that would...
so that big door right there is a freight door.
Right, would have opened up, and so the train cars would have pulled up.
Like barn style?
Barn style.
Okay, right?
Sliders that would have gone across there. There's one on either end, and so...
Then they're unloading the trains from there, bringing it into this space.
Here, would have gone into that space, and then the trucks would have pulled up and taken it out on the delivery.
So this is our original floor, original ceiling height and everything. You've added some ductwork to air condition this space.
Correct.
But we're looking at the underside of the roof deck right here, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Which at some point we'll need to insulate. But the basic thing is, we were in here manufacturing millwork for 20 years, a little longer. In fact, when I bought this building, I was a total urban pioneer.
When did you buy this place?
1995. I paid $60,000 for this building, which is laughable now.
$60,000.
But you got to remember that when we came down here, my wife was like, "Take the dog, because that is not safe down there." And literally, if I worked late, I went out to my truck, be like, "Okay, let's make a run.
Let's go."
So it was, it was scary a little bit at the time, but we've slowly restored it, kind of brought it back to its former glory.
That's beautiful.
It's an awesome building.
Tell me about your team a little bit. You've got offices here and here and here.
So we've got project managers. That's their offices there. That's where they meet and have their phone discussions. I've got 2 architects in here that do our drafting and design and everything else.
Because you're designing those new homes that you're building.
Yeah, about 80% of the stuff we're doing is all we're designing ourselves.
Okay.
Austin went to, one of my architects went to UT San Antonio, but he went to boat building school. So he's a guy who really understands kind of the craftsmanship of what we're doing here.
Yeah.
So he's a great fit. And then we have a showroom over here where we build a lot of things, but we show our clients kind of what's going on.
And is this a historic window that you taken out of an old project?
So we used to exhibit a lot of trade shows, traditional building shows, and we would take windows like this where we have the original weights and pulleys, right? Inside the weight pocket, we have that plastic shields on the side so you can see it. But showing the kind of windows that we can make.
You made this? This is not an old window.
No, we're making double hung windows for courthouses, schools, even new houses now. Because the great thing about these windows, they're a 100-year window.
Yeah.
I know that because we've restored
100-year
windows, and we know how to make them, and we know the parts and pieces to go to. And if you get the wood right, then you've got a window that's going to last a real long time.
That's cool.
Yeah,
I love it, Brent.
Yeah.
Let's go to the old part of the warehouse and show these guys some of the probably condition you might have looked at when you first bought this place.
Exactly.
Now, for a while, Brent, you actually had a millwork shop in this space, right?
Yeah.
Now, you've moved that to another facility.
Yeah, bigger facility. This total building is about 8,000 feet. And so at one time we had 15 guys in here. It was just jam packed. And so, but this is kind of the character and the feel that we got here.
Yeah.
And one of the cool features is the way they heated the building was with those stovepipes, right? So
like an integral chimney to the building
There's a
wall?
chimney built right into that wall. And there's a few of them around where they would have had some kind of little stove, a heater stove, and then they would have had a chimney that gone right up into there.
And check out this old school skylight. You had one over there, and this one looks like it's double duty. It's both bringing light into the center of the building, and you've got a couple fans to give some stack and chimney effect here,
So
right?
what would have happened is there would have been a building on the other side of me, and then there would have been a building on the east side, right? And so the only windows are really on the west and north face. So these skylights are pretty integral, not only for air movement, but for light.
Yeah.
And so, there's two of them. There's one on either side.
But how genius those builders and architects 100 years ago. There's no flat skylight. There's no Velux you pick up at the store, right? So they pop the roof up. We've got windows all around. And now right in the center of the warehouse, they still have
And
light.
these were operable pivot windows that, they would have had a string, they could pull it down, get some air movement going through here too. So
That's beautiful.
It gets hot here in Texas.
Now tell me what's going on with the roof. It looks to me like we're sloping front to back on the roof. What am I seeing there?
So the method of construction is the exterior wall is solid masonry. It's probably 15, 16 inches thick.
Okay,
so you've got these wood piers, right, going through here that sit on, brick piers and concrete in the ground.
Okay, so this is coming down, it's sitting on brick and then concrete underneath that.
Right. Concrete at the base level, brick built up, then these wood longleaf yellow pine posts, and then you see the joists running across.
They're pocketed in, right?
They're pocketed in, and I don't know, that top thing over there is about 15 feet, and back here in the corner is about 12 feet. So this whole thing pitches down this way, and then from the middle pitches this way. So there's two drains on the roof on either corner letting off the water.
That's really cool. So there's no load-bearing wood walls, it's load-bearing masonry walls.
Which was pretty typical at that period.
This is probably 3 wide, thick,
correct.
so triple wide?
Yeah, and you can see some of the bonding that's taking place here. The bonding is when the brick is run back in. So you'll see a header course here, where is one? Right there, right? That's actually run back into, so you got 3 sections of brick, and you're running a header course back inside to lock the walls together. Yeah.
So you would run, it looks like what, 6 or 7 rows of regular brick.
Yep.
Then you put a bond course in, ties it all together. They probably filled it with mortar in there, so you end up having nearly a 14-inch thick masonry solid wall.
Exactly. So
that's really cool.
it's really cool, and it's it's built like a rock. It isn't moving much.
When I see a brick facade on a house, which usually is not structural, this is structural,
right.
The first thing I look for is where are the cracks, what's happening, what's the movement, and I see maybe 1 or 2 cracks over here, but nothing in this whole section, nothing in that whole section. There must be an awesome footer on this house, or on this project, right?
We had this one corner dropped a little bit, but we didn't find a footer when we went under there to peer that up. So
no footer.
Yeah, it's it's just a solid masonry wall running right down to probably just the first hard rock it hit. So.
Yeah, so there's a ton of rock in Texas. We don't have a frost line here. This builder 100 years ago dug it out until they found some solid hard ground and started laying up the course of masonry from there.
Yeah.
And what are we, 98 years later, I guess, right?
Yeah, concrete technology even wasn't very good. There's a lot of houses built in the 20s that, the concrete's falling apart. They didn't have enough sand or didn't have enough Portland. Just the concrete technology wasn't good.
Yeah.
I got one of my magazines I got in there is the Concrete World, and it's from the 20s. Is early adaptation of concrete into the construction of houses. And so just like you'll see some houses from this period that have bad framing, like not full headers that run across windows and doors, concrete can be the same way, but this one's held up really well.
I'd say so.
Yeah.
Amazing. Brent, you got some really cool pieces laying around here. May I dig into your attic for a moment?
Yeah, for sure.
What is this gorgeous piece of slab door, I mean not slab door, but millwork door, 3-panel door?
It's on oak. So, fun story. This is a room. Okay, it's an English paneled room from the 1920s.
Whoa!
It was actually in the Rockefeller apartment in the 1920s. So not the Rockefeller, but one of his kids. And so it was pretty common in that period to dress out these rooms in French paneling, English paneling, American paneling. And so I've actually bought this English paneled room in New York, about 15 grand. Okay, for a room that's 20 by 15. Okay. Full paneled walls that go up about 8 feet, and we bought it and plan to reinstall it into a client's home.
Whoa,
Yeah.
no, that is cool.
It's really cool. The fun thing about this is if you look at how this is built, one, this is a cornice, right? This is run across the top. How they joined everything, how they put everything together, the way they made their panels, the back priming of the wood to keep it stable. They did a lot of things back then in the 20s that we think we invented or figured out. They actually
so back priming wood isn't something that you and I figured out in our 25-year career.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been around 100 years ago.
So, but
Man,
you
that's
get,
cool,
I mean, to get the quality of carving that we get in that piece, to get the, the pilasters like this, these fluted pilasters.
Look at that pilaster. That is gorgeous.
All these moldings and everything.
And that was
on
all
there.
handmade too,
All
right?
handmade, yeah. Well,
They had some
it
molding
was a
machines.
combination.
Yeah, there's a combination.
Combinations.
Guys, if you don't know Brent, follow him on Instagram. Amazing Instagram feed. And you may have already heard about our big announcement. We have a brand new network called the Build Show Network. And
exciting.
Brent is a part of the Build Show now as well. So we're publishing this on YouTube, but go over and check out Build Show Network. Brent's an incredible builder. I've followed his work for years. He has a ton to teach you about classical building techniques, classical building styles, how to do things well. And he builds very differently than I do up here in Fort Worth compared to my Austin buildings. We're very like-minded. We have the same level of integrity that we bring to our jobs, our desire to do it right, but our styles are different, right? And Brent's an incredible teacher. So here's what's really cool that I've not probably announced to you before. Brent is now part of the Build Show. He's going to be filming his own build shows up here in Fort Worth from this office, from his millwork shop, from his job sites. And we're going to have new content on Build Show Network, one new video every single week from Brent and his team at Hull Homes and Hull Millwork. So go follow him on Instagram. Go check out our website where his other work is going to be posted. And make sure you click the link to sign up for our newsletter so that you can get a notification when Brent has new content on that site. Guys, if you're not already a Build Show subscriber, hit that subscribe button below. New content every Tuesday and every Friday as normal. We're not changing the Build Show at all. We're just adding to it with our new network. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on the Build Show.